Cool. All right, we're live. On you go, Craig.
Cool. So this is my first time introducing. I have a journal, and in that journal, I look at it every morning, and I have things that motivate me. And one of the things that I added to it was Fat Joe's 2023 roundup. In 2023, Fat Joe did 19,318 orders, over 35 million words. They have 70 writers. They've placed like upwards of 45,000 links. Can't remember the exact number, but they've done a ton of stuff. And today we're speaking to Joe Davies, which, yeah, that's a ton of content and links, Joe, in 1 year.
It is. It's a lot.
That's crazy. So today, we're starting a new season of the SEO for Hire podcast, where we're going to talk to agency owners about acquiring new customers and then how they recruit to fulfill on that work. So Joe, I want to paint a picture and how I see the industry just now. In the past few years, agency owners have went from absolutely thriving to struggling. And the reason I see it is, we had all these stimulus checks, we had all these bounce back loans. The market was very, very bullish. Everyone had money, and then suddenly, that's all disappeared. People are paying that back now. We're now in a bit of a bear market, and there's a ton of other threats too. And I guess I've been thinking back to, I also have a content agency, and back then, we had loads of clients. We made loads of deals. Whereas now it's slowed down significantly. And I think the main reason was I had timed it really nicely, because software SEO was rising back then, and we were a software SEO content agency. You seem to have thrived for years. I mean, how old is your agency now? 10 years?
So 11 years. 11 years now.
11 years. How have you rode the wave? How have you survived that long? Have you had to change your offers?
So I think it's about just staying really lean. So we were always a bit cautious being in the industry that we're in, SEO. Like when I had a job in SEO, I saw it changing so much. When I was working in an agency, I saw them struggle sometimes when, economic storms happened, industry storms happened. I was in an agency when Penguin happened, when Panda happened. So you can imagine the kind of like the uproar and the clients that leave and stuff like that. So you think, right, SEO isn't this kind of business where you're not selling crisps, you're not selling shoes. It changes all the time. So when we started, we had it very much in our mind that we need to stay really lean here, just in case something happens, just in case link building dies, just in case SEO dies. We need to bank the cash, not hire loads of people. And it kind of worked for us because we did have a few things happen. We've had industry storms, we've had economic storms, and then during, as you said, like COVID, when the whole world went online and everyone was like, wow, this is amazing, this is great. We didn't hire, we didn't increase our overheads, we didn't increase resources, we stayed exactly as we were, and we just rode that wave. And as you say, like 2021, 22, 23, there's been a bit of a correction, I'd like to call it, whereas the world's going back to sort of normal. It's not about online anymore. And we saw what happened with a lot of the agencies, like niche website builders. They were caught, with the pants down really when the tide went in, because they'd hired all these writers on payroll and they weren't expecting it to ever end. So I think it's a case of staying lean and staying really systemized with your hiring and your resources, and that's how we've managed to sort of ride the wave.
What advice do you have to these agencies that they haven't productized yet? They do full strategy. It's a little bit of everything for whoever will pay, I guess. What advice do you have for them? Because it's hard for them to stay lean. Harder.
Yeah. I mean, I would say try and productize as much as you can. I know it's hard if you're a full service agency and you're kind of doing everything for everyone, but even if you internally productize, so even if you've got like 3 or 4 main core products and you go, right, for every single client that we do this particular service for, this is the process we're going to run through, and don't deviate from that process. Maybe you can have some variables, but don't deviate from the process. And that makes it really easy then, because you know what staff you need. You know that if you get another client tomorrow, you know you need X amount more resources. You know exactly what you're going to need going forward. And when you make a projection, you can go, right, we're going to get 20 more clients this year. That means we need 2 more staff, or we need X amount more contractors, or whatever it is, however you work. I'd also say, as well as productizing, niching down is a really good way of staying lean, because, for example, if you were an SEO agency just for funeral directors, as an example, funeral directors, you can literally have a process that's only for funeral directors, which means you've done it a million times before. It's going to be exactly the same for all your next clients. It means you can build up a compounded knowledge, compounded assets, partnerships just for this industry, which makes it it gives you this edge over anyone else who's offering everything to everyone. So I'd say productizing as much as you can, niching down if you can.
Okay.
Cool.
You go, Josh.
So, Joe, obviously you've productized a lot with Fat Joe, and of course, processes are a strong part of any agency if they want to grow. And I watched a podcast recently where I seen that you fulfill on about 3,000 orders a month. So I'm sure processes are a massive thing for Fat Joe. Is there any AI tools or anything that you're using to your advantage to try and help with these processes?
So we haven't actually incorporated that much AI yet. We've tried, and we kind of just there's nothing we need AI for at the moment, and it's a bit annoying really, because we can do it. We've got all the capabilities to do it, but we're just kind of doing it for the sake of it. Our biggest process sort of leverage is our system. So we custom built a system from 10 years ago. And we've just been building on top of it over and over the years. And that basically does all of the heavy lifting for us. So it's, when an order comes in, it goes to the right person. Once that person's done their job, it automatically goes to the next person. And sometimes there might be 3 or 4 people involved in a service, but at the end, it automatically goes to the client. So it's kind of, when we get an order come in, we don't even know about it. It just it goes to the different contractors. It goes to the client at the end of it. So that's kind of, we've hit the holy grail of process really with our system, but no AI just yet.
Awesome. Cool. And in terms of winning new business, Joe, so what's Fat Joe's method to winning new business at the minute?
So we're very heavy on ads. I love ads because they're just so predictable and consistent, and there's all these little dials you can turn. You can turn the dial on the landing page copy, the ad copy, the creative, the funnel that comes after they sign up. So tweaking all these numbers and doing it very, very quickly is like a dream for a marketer, because you can kind of get a losing offer or a winning offer within days. And once you've got that winning offer, you just go, okay, I spend £1, I'll get £5 back. Let me spend as much as I can to get business or to get leads. So that's how we've done it for a long, long time. It helps to have a name like Fat Joe, because people remember you and people will search for it on Google and stuff. We do have a heavy organic presence as well. Like, SEO agencies seem to dismiss SEO as a channel, which I've always found strange. Like, SEO is a great channel for every kind of business, but even for SEO, I mean, like, we get loads of people searching for stuff to do with backlinks, stuff to do with content, and they end up in our ecosystem, in our funnel, signing up to something. They may not buy like that day, but 2 or 3 months later, after being on our email list, they'll buy. So yeah, I think PPC and SEO have been big for us.
Awesome. And you mentioned getting into your funnel with emails. That's something that us at SEO for Hire, we're trying to work on a lot at the minute and get set up. And we've used different agencies to try and do it for us. And we just feel like we want to build it in-house. So what does that funnel look like, and what have you had the most success with?
So for us, it's dead simple. I mean, we've had some advice, and we've used different agencies before, and we've hired consultants, and it's been really complicated segmenting. And if they click this lead, then they go in this funnel, and if they do this, then they go through this funnel. We did all that, and it was really complicated. So but it weren't working, so we scrapped it all, and we've now got, I think it's 2 months worth of emails just in a sequence, and anyone who signs up through any of our leads, so like whether they sign up for a free tool, an ebook, or they just sign up to our system just to check it out, they'll get this 2 months worth of emails. Now, what's good about that is that everyone goes into the same funnel. So we've got like the most data we can work with. We just tweak every single email. Like, so we know that email 4 is getting a 2% click-through rate. How can we get that to 3%? We know that email 5, 1% of people order it. How can we get that to 2%? Do we add an offer in there or something like that? Because we've got one funnel to work with, it's so easy just for one person just to concentrate on it and just go, let's make this the best funnel ever. And we just send all the traffic into that one particular funnel, which, it's just easier to work with. Yes, there's probably better ways. There's probably segmentation and all this crap that someone else will do, but it's just, you get a headache dealing with it. So I think one funnel, one sequence is the best way to go with that.
Very cool.
Awesome.
And then that sequence, at what point in that sequence do you try and sell? Are you trying to sell from day one, or is the focus on nurturing them, building up trust, interest, and then selling them on like day 7?
So because we're more of a commodity, so like Fat Joe, we sell link building, and we sell like something that's kind of low cost, if you get what I mean. There's a low barrier to entry. People who want link building already know they want it. So we're kind of selling from the first email. We're like saying, thank you for signing up for Fat Joe. We do links. If you want to buy one or you want to buy 1,000, click this link. If you want content, click here. So because of that, we sell pretty early on. We're kind of a low ticket offer. But if we were a traditional agency, if I was doing it for a traditional agency, I would definitely do it later on in the sequence. So I'd start by giving as much value as possible. For example, in your recruitment business, it would be all about hiring and retention and how to get the best out of your staff, and then possibly email 4 or 5. I'd hit them with an offer or a deal, or just book a call if you want to chat longer about this. It's a bit of a different offer. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, because we're a commodity, we sell early on.
With content, I've always found that people don't really love content. Like, you really have to package it up and make it pretty. Like, they know they need it. They don't want it necessarily. It's not like getting a DR90 link, for example, I've found anyway. So how do you sell something that people don't necessarily want? Like, how do you package it up? How do you make it exciting, or I guess just cut through the noise?
Yeah, it's a tough
one.
Why
is your content better than everyone else? I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
It's a tough one, and like I say, like, I'm very aware that we're a commodity, and I'm very aware there's other companies who are probably doing the same quality. Sometimes they might be better, sometimes they might be worse, but we're all pretty much the same in this game, and I think that's why we try and sell our platform. So we make it right obvious that you can order this so easy. You can upload a spreadsheet and order for all your clients if you want in seconds. The payment's really easy. The prices are up front. You're going to get a really fast delivery. You're going to get customer support. We cover all of US hours now. So it's like we're trying to sell all the things around the product rather than the actual product now, because we can say our links are the best, but everyone else is saying the links are the best as well. We can say our content's the best. Everyone else is saying it. So we have to just sell the platform and the experience.
Reliability. And I think that is something that people want. They want to rely on the partner, right? And you're very big on that most agencies should use vendors for things like content and links. Can you explain why, and why do you think that, one of the I'm pretty sure I saw you tweet this, but one of the faster ways for agencies to scale is to outsource those parts? Why?
100%, because I think in an agency, the highest leverage point is always going to be the strategy. So it's always going to be the person that goes, this is what we need to do, this is how long it's going to take, this is what I expect to happen, and this is how much it costs. Speaking to the client, having that client-facing role, that's the highest leverage point. Now, the deliverables to get that done, it doesn't really, you don't need anyone in-house doing it. You can go to a specialist, you can go to a contractor, you can go to Fat Joe, you can go to any other link building company, get these parts done. Why that's good is you can keep a really lean team then. So you've got a lean team of strategists. These are your highest leverage assets. These people are coming up with the strategy. And And when these economic storms happen, these industry storms happen, you haven't got a load of staff. You've just got these 4, 5, 10 people in a mid-sized agency who are dealing with the strategy. And as you grow, you just order more deliverables. As you shrink, you order less deliverables. There's no hard conversations. There's no letting people go. There's no dealing with all that stuff. It's very clean, minimal, and I think it's the best way to go.
Yeah, I've definitely been there where I've had to scale up very fast, and also times I've had to scale down very fast, and it's honestly so draining. If I could have went back, I would have grown slower and just did it a bit more sustainably. I guess it would have been much easier on the mind, I guess. So you're speaking about leverage. So Hormozy talks about 4 types of leverage. You've got code, you have labor, you've got capital, and you have media. Now, there's a ton of things that agencies can do. They can build up a newsletter, they can build up their personal brand, they can go and adopt AI and they get code leverage that way, or they could do what you suggested and do Facebook ads, and it takes a lot of capital to get Facebook ads up and running and get it working right. So there's so many things they can do. What would you advise a new agency to do? What should they focus on? What types of leverage should they try and get in their business first?
I think a client acquisition kind of asset would be good, and whether that's like a YouTube channel, like you say, or some kind of like community, some kind of asset, whether it's like a free course or a free ebook or something like that. That would be one side of it, because if you've got that, then that's generating you like leads or attention, which is good. And then the other side of it, I'd focus on maybe looking at internal methodology. So if you've got like some kind of system or automations going on that allows you to really scale the way that you service clients or the way that you complete campaigns, that will be a really good asset, I think. For example, with us, we've got our own system which basically takes the order all the way to the client, gives it all the people in between, as I said earlier. That to us is an asset. It's unique to us. No one else has got that system. People have probably got similar, and there's tools like SPP that are off the shelf that people use which do similar things, but no one's got it in the way that we do it. And I think building your own kind of automations, your own systems, is another side of it. So I think those are the 2 things I'd focus on: something that's client facing, something that gets you attention, and then something that's internal, something that can really give you the edge on orders or campaigns.
Yeah, that's very cool. I know you started your own YouTube channel recently, and I found it interesting because you've posted the numbers for your agency. It's a very big agency, and you're still building new things, new channels. You did 30 days on YouTube, and like this is going to sound disrespectful, but it didn't grow that fast. I know the value's there, but it didn't grow that fast. So I guess where I'm going with this is, you're doing very well. Why are you still building these new acquisition channels? Where do you get the energy to do that? You must clearly love the game.
Yeah, I think it just comes from loving the game, and just I look like some people play football for a hobby, and I just love building little businesses or doing little side projects. With the YouTube thing, I think it's just a vehicle for me to just talk about this agency stuff, grow. I'm trying to grow a community called Scalers, which has no really grand plan. I'm doing that stuff on the side, really. I don't want to tie my personal brand too much into Fat Joe, because I think business owners do make a mistake sometimes when they tie their personal brand too much into the business, because it's great to begin with, but when they come to sell, or they come to exit, or they want to step away, it's very hard for them to move away when they're the most reliable part. They're the most reliable lead acquisition part. So all of this stuff I'm doing on the side, it's nothing to do with Fat Joe, if you get what I mean.
Okay. So what should founders be doing then? So on a day-to-day basis, like if you think of the first few years of Fat Joe, what did you prioritize on a day-to-day basis? Because I think a lot of founders, they get caught up in the thick of it. They get brought into client comms. They procrastinate because it's easier to do the in the business stuff than work on the business because of the lack of unknown. So what did yeah, what was it like back then when you were up and coming? What was your day-to-day like?
To be honest, it was a bit like doing all the wrong things. Like in year 1, year 2, year 3, as you know, and as you've probably done it yourself, you are caught up in all that stuff. You're in client meetings, you're doing all the work yourself. I mean, when we first started Fat Joe, in the first 6 months, we were writing all the articles, we were outreaching to bloggers, we were answering blogger emails. So it's kind of like, you don't even know, no one even teaches you this stuff. No one tells you that you shouldn't be doing it. You kind of just have to learn it yourself. By year 3, year 4, yeah, you through the pain, and then by year 3, year 4, we was kind of a bit more free because we'd hired a good team, we had a good system, and now I'm at the point in year 11 where I can step away from the business, for weeks at a time or months at a time, and it would all run smoothly. It's fine. What I spend most of my days doing now is working on products, so working on our actual services. How can we improve them? Do we need new ones? We recently launched a digital PR service, and that took me 6 months of testing and trialing, vendors for that and hiring people. So that's where my time's spent, and looking at the website. Can we improve the conversion rate? And then also having a lot of free time. I think it's very important for a founder to have or for a CEO to have their calendar almost empty, because they've just got to sit there and they've got to be able to have a spontaneous idea. They've got to be able to write in the journal. They've got to be able to go for a walk, work out at the gym. All of this is really important, I think, to the overall, ideas that come out, because the highest leverage point of any company, I think, is the vision, the strategy, the direction. And if the founder or a CEO is busy writing an email or in a client meeting, that's never going to happen. So I think you've got to wait for that split-second moment where the next idea is coming.
And sometimes getting out the business is the only, most times getting out the business is the only way to do that. I'm interested in how you approach new products then. So how did you scope out this digital PR product? You've caught the wave, it sounds like, because everyone wants PR. We know that in SEO for Hire with our new recruitment service. So how did you see this coming? And then you said 6 months. So it sounds like you caught it before it started to get popular anyway. How did you approach that?
Well, it seemed like the next logical step for us, because we were doing link building, and a lot of our clients were asking for higher quality links. They was asking for newspaper links. They was asking for digital PR, essentially. And a lot of our clients are from the US, and interestingly, the US are very behind on digital PR for some reason. They don't know what it is yet. A lot of them don't. So I think we're very, very early. Everyone who's doing digital PR now is quite early. What I seen was, and what I felt was from the industry, speaking to people, this was a very, very complicated service. It was a lot of ideation, a lot of speaking to the client, a lot of sitting around boardrooms and thinking of what the campaign should be, phone calls to journalists and all this stuff. And the more I spoke to people, I was asking them, look, how can we make this a Fat Joe style product? How can we turn digital PR into something that's, you just order it online like a pair of shoes, you say what you want and you get it back in 4 weeks. And many people saying that's impossible, you can't do it, you need to approve with the client and all this stuff. And we just thought, look, we're gonna try it. So I tried a lot of contractors, I built my own team of freelancers, I tried many services, and they were all very complicated. The ones that seemed to succeed were the simplest ones. So we modeled this idea on, let's just do really simple campaigns. We're not going to win any awards, We're not going to be up there with Rise at 7 winning awards about the best campaign. We're simply after speed and links, which is what our clients want, which is what our agencies want. So that's what I went for. And in the process of coming up with the service, I decided, right, what do we need to ask the client? And the less, the better. And we tell the client, look, there's no meetings, there's no phone calls, there's no back and forth, there's no approvals. You agree, if you buy this product, we deliver you the links back in 4 weeks. And that's it. And just that process and finding the right people to do it and finding the right strategy, that's what took up most of my time for maybe 6 months.
Interesting. And when you find the first client, do you try and pitch the client that this is a trial, or do you just try and sell it and then just go above and beyond, blow them away? How do you approach that?
So we didn't do any like pitching or anything like that, because we have got like a big list of customers now where when we launch a new product, we kind of get the feel for the market immediately. Sometimes, I mean, we've launched services before and they've got one order, you know, and we was expecting it to be a huge success, and they've got like one order. And then we launch other products and they get loads of orders, and we think, okay, let's really focus on this service now. With this one, we just put it out there with like a 15% discount. We sent it our email list, and it got loads of orders like the first couple of days. So we was like, okay, there's something in this. So then we really honed down on the service. We've hired someone for it now internally. So we're going to really perfect the service now. We try to over deliver, like you say. So we promise really small link minimums, and every time we just go over that like 3 or 4 times to try and really make the customer happy, and you know, cover our backs really.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Have you figured out what the next product's going to be?
Well, we're close to launching another one. We want to do a link building plan. So it's essentially going to be like a loss leader, but we want clients to be able to order a plan. I mean, a lot of other agencies do this, or a lot of link building agencies do this, but we're going to try and do it a little bit different and give agencies a real clear plan of what to do for their clients to get better rankings. Essentially, that'll be the next one, I think.
Can you explain for the audience what a loss leader is?
Yeah, so a loss leader is like a product that you sell at a loss, or you break even for the greater good. So for example, a link building plan, we might sell that we might even give it away. We might even give it away for free, but it costs a VA, you know, a couple of $100 to complete the plan, or $100 or whatever. So we're losing some money on it. But our hope is with that product, the customer will then buy thousands of dollars worth of links. So that's kind of where it comes from. It's a loss leader.
Yeah, interesting. We're looking at we're playing around with some ideas for some micro products for SEO for hire. So I think it's really interesting because, you know, SEO for hire, like we just 3% of the market are ready to buy, right? So you've still got that 27% in the middle who are problem aware and they have issues. There aren't as many keywords as you'd think for SEO recruitment, you know? So it's like, how do you get that part of the market? How do you go and get in front of them? And, you know, they're not even thinking about recruiting just yet, because, you know, it could only be next week that they suddenly get a huge lead in that's 10K and they're like, oh, I gotta scale up really quickly. So it's an interesting service for us because we're like, the client needs to win, and then when the client wins, then they try and recruit themselves, and then they realize, oh, this is really, 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 really hard, and then they come to us. So, you know, we're like 5 steps down the line. So I'm always trying to think, how can we create a micro offer just to get us in the door and nurture those clients? And it's tough. It is a really hard thing to do. I think, like you said, you actually have to be out the business to think of that. And I also think as well, like, you have to be in other industries and, you know, look at other things. And I always see you commenting on things, and I try and like just see what you're up to now, because I've noticed in the past few months you're tweeting a lot more. So like the other day I saw you replied to this web design guy, and I thought, Joe's talking to web designers and stuff now as well. And anyway, like, long story short, I think, you know, getting into other industries can really spark some ideas. So, do you have any like process for that? Are you in any specific groups? Are you hanging about in any industries that aren't necessarily SEO?
So I look at a lot of the D2C e-com stuff. I follow a lot of them people. I love the idea of like getting a physical product and selling it. The guy from, you know, Tab's Chocolate. Have you heard of that? Well, basically, it's an interesting one. If you look it up, it's sex chocolate, right? So it's basically like it's two slabs of chocolate. It probably costs about 50p to make, but he sells it for about $30. And basically, you have one and your partner has one, and it's an aphrodisiac. But what they do is, it's like their whole selling process is amazing. Like, you buy one, but then it upsells you to buy 3, and then it has like an anti-melt insurance policy So you add that on. So the chocolate doesn't. If the chocolate melts, you get a free one, and that costs an extra $20. So by the time you've paid for this $30 bar of chocolate, you end up paying $100 or whatever. And I think from this industry or from any D2C, e-com store, you can learn a lot about upsells, cross sells, 100% margin products or services. I really love this idea of a service which is 100% margin. So, for example, with this guy, he's selling anti-melt insurance. 100% of his chocolate bars don't melt. They're insulated. So he's just selling this as like a just in case it does. Do you know what I mean? Whereas that's brilliant because everyone's going to think, well, if it does melt, I do want to make sure, and that's the same with most insurance. Most insurance is like 100% margin because there's not many people, we do a service called express delivery where we upsell like you get it in half the time. And that service generates us like a fair bit of revenue because everyone wants everything quicker, but it's 100% margin for us. It costs us nothing to put their order up in the queue. So it's 100% margin. And there's other services you can do, there's other things you can think of, any kind of insurance. There's things like you can add a processing fee to orders, a $2 processing fee. It gets 100% conversion. No one's gonna bat an eyelid at a $2 processing fee. But that you'd be surprised if you're doing a lot of volume, that adds up to a fair chunk of revenue and it's 100% margin. So these kind of things to learn from the D2C world are quite interesting. How it relates to a traditional agency, you can sort of bring in some of the elements from these industries. And I think there's a lot to learn from it, 100%.
No, I think that's very cool. The one thing I've noticed about SEOs is we're pretty bad at funnels. Like we're really bad at funnels, really. We don't know how to nurture traffic. Like the amount of clients that I work on and I tell them about a content funnel, which is just the process of taking them from top of funnel to middle of funnel to bottom of funnel. And they look at me as if I've just told them some magical thing. I'm like, it's pretty basic. And it just, my head gets blown every time. So I think you're right. Like these other industries like D2C, they're doing some crazy stuff. These direct response marketers, like very, very, very cool. And we can learn a lot from them. And I love what you said about digital PR too. Like there's these limiting beliefs like, oh, that can't be done. That's not the norm. That can't be like that. And I fall prey to that. So I need to actively step out of the industry because I'm really bad for falling prey to that. And if I don't step out, I could just be like, oh, I can't do that. And it's just like, because, and I think a lot of people fall into that category too. So Fat Joe, you have a ton of products, which is, you basically cast a really wide net. So any traffic you put into your system now, you have a higher chance of converting them, right? So I'm wondering, for SEO for hire, like we want to keep our USP to just SEO. Then we've had people come and ask us, Josh, will you do market managers? And we're like, no, we want to just focus on SEO. Like we know our stuff here. We could 100% do market managers. Like I've done enough marketing to be able to do that confidently. But our USP was SEO. So I guess the question is, when is it okay to go and step out of your USP? Because I'm sure Fat Joe maybe started off as just links, then became content, then became digital PR. Every time you do that, you add a new product, you dilute your USP a little bit or a lot. So yeah, for SEO for hire, what would you recommend? When should we look at marketing manager?
Yeah, it's a tough one. And going back to like our target market, we're going for agencies. So our specific market is agencies. So whatever they need, if they need links, if they need content, if they need video, if they need social, if they need whatever they need, we're going to try and if we can do it in a productized way, we're going to try and deliver it. So for us, we've kind of niched down in a audience sense rather than a product sense. Whereas with SEO for hire, I think instead of niching down on an audience sense, you've niched down on a product sense. So you're only recruiting SEOs. You're recruiting SEOs for anyone. Where you could flip it and you could go, you recruit anyone for agencies. Do you know what I mean? So that would be another way to look at it. So whatever an agency wants, if they want account managers, if they want marketing directors, if they own SEOs, SEO execs, PR managers, you can then flip it. Obviously, you can keep SEO for hire as a brand, but then you could have this bigger, wider company, which is agency recruitment or recruitment for agencies, whatever it is. That would be the way I'd look at it, because probably most of the people who are coming to you guys are agencies. I wouldn't know, but maybe a big chunk of them are agencies. So you could, and you've already got the agency then in your pocket. If they've hired an SEO from, if you've hired them an SEO, they're going to come to you guys and go, that was so good how you hired us an SEO. Can you hire us a marketing manager? And you probably could. So it's probably like the easiest. It's like the easiest way to widen your net. I'd say is to go for agency recruitment.
Yeah, and honestly, from just chatting to this, all I want to do is productize SEO for hire now. So all of that. But a question on that, Joe. So let's say that we did that. You've been running your agency for 10 years. You've hired quite a lot. We've worked with you as well. If you were then to productize recruitment, like a lot of people talk about that they want those human touches, like they want to get on a call and learn about the culture and what you actually want, because it's like you can learn so much more from chatting to somebody rather than just seeing a job description. Was there teething issues at the start when you did productize everything, when you moved away from that jumping on a call, like a discovery call, and then moving on and to a whole onboarding phase?
There wasn't really. I think people quickly realised, like we had so many emails saying, can we book a meeting? Can I hop on a call? Yeah. And they were amazed when we said no, we can't. We just refused every single call, because we knew as soon as we started taking calls, we was going to have to hire staff to take the calls. There was going to be all this kind of weird requests. Can you do this? Can you do this type of link? And we just tried to make our website as easy as possible. Like I think there's pretty much nothing on the planet which can't be productized. I mean, you can buy a 100 grand Tesla online and get it delivered. You don't have to speak to anyone at Tesla. You can customize it all, choose the color of the wheels or whatever you want to choose, and you get it back, as exactly how you wanted it. And I think with any kind of service, I think you can do it through a special form or some kind of onboarding process that's online. I personally, I know some people love calls. I know some people love hopping on a call. I hate it. I can't stand it. I just want to go on a website. I just want to order it. Like, for example, with SEO for hire, it'd be amazing if you could just go on, you pick what you want. Okay, you want an SEO. Okay, click it. What kind of, how many years experience? You drop down 1 to 10 or 10 plus or whatever. Any special requests in a note box, and then click go pay online, and then you're going to get a load of candidates back in a spreadsheet. You tick which ones you like. Do you know what I mean? So I would love, personally, I'd love that. I know there's a lot of people that wouldn't, and they'd want to speak to someone first before spending the money. But to me, I think it would work.
We had a idea like that before, and we were going to do the problem with our service is it's like nothing to a lot, like we're an expensive, we're a premium service, and we thought about doing like a smaller product, like going back to the value ladder, like build it up, right? And there's a whole bunch of agencies that can't afford us, so doing something like that could be pretty cool. But I guess it just always comes back to protecting the brand. Like me and Josh, we're so protective over it and just want to make sure that we can always over deliver, and that's why it's a premium service. So it's finding like a happy middle ground of a product that we can help the masses, I guess, but also not take away from our service up here. So like if we did what you said there, we couldn't do that as a £1,500 service, because that could take away candidates from up here, if that makes sense. But again, maybe it comes back to limiting beliefs, right? And I got to say, SEO for hire is definitely the hardest company for me to productize. Easy in my content pal, easy with links, but SEO for hire, like it's such a human heavy business, and that's where the value is. But it's like, how do you build a value ladder too? Because you've got to build that trust, right? It's a challenging one.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. It is harder to do, I think, with the recruitment, but still possible, I'd say. Still possible.
Yeah, awesome. That's cool.
Well, let's move on then, Joe, to you've built, as you said, a lean team of strategists. What's been your best hiring methods? How have you built that team over the last decade?
So we have used recruiters. We've used yourself in the past as well. I think there's a place for recruitment to get these specialized kind of candidates that you might need at a certain point. The more specialized they are, I think the more recruitment comes into play. But my favorite kind of growth of, growing the team has been getting the entry level team members. Years ago we had like 5 or 6 admin staff, and they were doing very, very basic data entry, answering emails. But now, and they would come from companies like McDonald's and Tesco. They were just doing entry level jobs, young. And now 6, 7 years later, 8 years later, they're talking on the phone to huge agencies about their link building strategy. They're talking to public companies about what links they should buy or what content strategy they should use. So it's amazing to see that growth. I think two of the biggest things I look for, like in a member of staff to really try and take them forward, is if they can use initiative, because I don't think you can train that. You can't teach anyone initiative. You just got it or you haven't. And then loyalty. So if they love the brand and if they share this kind of common goal with you, or common vision of growing the company, you can just tell that they're super passionate about it, and they super want to succeed themselves and the company.
Awesome. And then, so you mentioned loyalty. So obviously loyalty is a very important thing for a lot of people. You've had your agency for 10 years. I've seen how you guys have built a culture. I've seen recently you had like a US party for one of your US team members. I know I've chatted to Emily and she talks very highly of the company all the time. How have you built that culture and how do you keep that retention high?
I think it's really tough. I think like culture is one of those words that means nothing and everything at the same time. It's like, what is it? How do you tangibly build culture? And sometimes you think you're not doing enough, and then sometimes maybe doing too much. You're introducing these 4-day work weeks, and bring your dog to work, put a hammock in the office, and all that kind of stuff. What is it? What is it that makes people stay? And I still don't know, but I think just having some kind of respect for the staff and respecting what they want and checking in with them. Also making it not always about work. So like making sure there's like these lunch outside of work. It helps us because we've got a physical office and we've got a physical presence. So, I see genuine friendships form in the office. Like people are actually genuinely friends. They're meeting up after work. They're having a laugh together, having a joke together. And it's nice to see that, it's not always just professional and work and black and white. That's it. So I think that's really helped. That's really helped us. I think if we was remote from the start, I think it would have been harder to build this culture. But because we're now sort of hybrid, I think it's just ingrained in us now that Fat Joe are this kind of company,
Awesome. Craig, have you got any other questions on teams or hiring?
No, I think the one thing I've noticed is the longer they're with you, the more their knowledge compounds. It's easier to work with them, and I think that's the real value. And it's just nicer too, right? But anything you can do to keep employees, the better. It pays off in the long run. Yeah, but no more questions.
Definitely. And then, so just lastly, I wanted to just jump on we mentioned your personal brand earlier. Obviously, I mean, I think everybody's talking about building a personal brand at the minute. Last year, it was kind of like a new hype type of thing to a lot of people. Now it's like basic necessity for everybody to have. What kind of tips would you give to people starting on their personal brand journey?
I think you've just got to start. And I think it sounds simple, but I think you've got to post every single day. You've got to give yourself a challenge. Like I'll give myself little challenges, maybe post every day for 30 days or post every day for 60 days, even if it's rubbish. So even if you just, I watched Netflix earlier, I watched this, it was great. You've got nothing else to say, just post that. Just be on the timeline. And I think just putting the reps in every single day, it just gives you this kind of confidence, because you get used to sort of some posts having no likes and you go, it weren't that bad, I didn't die, and everyone still thinks I'm all right in general. So let's carry on, and you keep posting. And then I think giving as much value as you can. So giving stuff away for free. If you give away your whole process, your whole strategy, no one's going to come and steal it and become a competitor, and you're going to lose money. You're going to gain clients, because people are going to go, wow, you do all of that. that looks hard.
Mm.
I just want you guys to do it. But also, you're going to get all these shares. The people that do it themselves are never going to become a client anyway. So I think the whole mindset should be give as much away as you can, and keep posting every day and put the reps in. And one of your likes, or one of your statuses, or one of your posts is going to catch fire, and I think it will give you the bug to do more.
And what keeps you motivated on that? Is it signing a client and ask them where did they hear from you, and they heard from you from your Twitter, or is it getting invited to do speaking gigs? Like, what keeps that fire going?
I think it's just the dopamine from getting the likes on the post. That's it. To be honest, I've not been getting much clients from LinkedIn and Twitter, from what I understand, from what I know. I don't really track it, but the amount of doors that it's opened in terms of network and people to speak to for any kind of business activity or discussion, like that, it's opened so many doors in that way. And going to conferences now, people know who I am, which is kind of good. You can just open conversations with anyone, and it's quite good in that respect. That gives me the motivation for it, and it's just a lot of fun. On Twitter, I'm a bit more, loose. I can say whatever I want on Twitter. On LinkedIn, you've got to kind of be professional. So I do prefer Twitter for that reason. You can just kind of say whatever comes to mind, and I think it's just addictive in the same way. I spend way less time on Instagram now, so I think it's just replaced with Twitter and LinkedIn.
Cool. Awesome. Well, look, I think today was full of a lot of value. I think a lot of people are going to get some really good tips from this. So, Joe, thank you for coming on. And where can people find you?
Best place, if you just go to joedavies.com, and you'll see all the links there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe.
Thanks,
Nice
Joe.
one.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
lads.